Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to day 3 and the final day of the API Power Up Summit. Across the first 2 days, we explored the power sector and looked at how to prepare for opportunities such as placements, scholarships, and final year projects. But today is about stepping into your future career with confidence. We'll focus on personal leadership, making the most of industry conferences, and then also the value of ongoing learning and networking after university. As you know, we record our webinars. This is mainly for API purposes, but if you would like to request a copy of today's content, you can do so at our info@ email address. We have had a number of people requesting copies, so we'll probably put the recordings up on the website so people can access the information that we have gone over the last couple of days. It's been fantastic. Our speakers today, we have Andriana Babich from Endeavour Energy. We have Jacinta Fitzgerald from the University of Melbourne, and then we have a panel session from our ESA and SEAGREY representatives who will be talking about life after university. But to begin with, I'm delighted to welcome Andriana Babich, or Andy Babich, from Endeavour Energy for a session on how her personal leadership experience has built her professional life. As you know, leadership is not just about having a formal title these days. It can start early through self-awareness, curiosity, initiative, and all those things while you study. So over to you, Andy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. So I guess to start off, I'll just give everyone a little bit of information about me. My name's Andy. I've been at Endeavour Energy for 3 years now, but I have been out of university for close to 10 or 9 years, thereabouts. So before I started at Endeavour Energy as a reliability engineer, I worked at the steelworks in Wollongong. So I started in the maintenance team. I got a job while I was still finishing up my thesis, and worked there for 2 years, just doing like replacing sensors and things, before I got the opportunity to join the high voltage team for the steelworks. So what the high voltage team does, because it's basically a little network in there anyway, it's 633 kV feeds coming in, and then about 1,000 transformers, all at the 33 to 6.6 or 6.6 to 415 volt level. So it's got its own little grid in there. So my team was responsible for the big replacements. And when you're a smaller team, you do everything yourself. So we'd write the tenders to buy the new equipment, then we'd write the contracts to install them, the commissioning procedures, the protection settings, everything. It gives you a very well-rounded view of how sort of every part of the distribution sector sort of works at the scale of one company, even if it is the size of a suburb. So yeah, that experience is sort of what got me the opportunity to come over to Endeavour Energy and work here. So that's pretty much my technical journey. But I think to get to where I am was a lot more than what I was doing at work. So with any sort of job, taking the first leap in requires a little bit of luck, and then also a little bit of confidence in yourself. So I've made that change. I think there's been 3 distinct changes in my career. One from like the less technical work, it was more being out in the field and sort of almost doing the work yourself, to then doing this very technical sort of design and protection heavy work, to then now my role is as an influencer for the network. So the work I sort of do is, I'm seeing a trend here. How do I influence the rest of the company to do something about it so that we can fix it? So my title doesn't have manager or leader in it, but the work I'm doing is leading the rest of the business to make some changes. So yeah, what is it that's made me confident to do that, considering I'm not from the power industry originally, and in the scheme of people who work in the industry, 9-10 years of experience is nothing compared to most of the people here. So what is it that's given me that voice? So I'll start at, I'd say, end of high school, right? We'll go back to the beginning. I originally thought I wanted to do law. I was kind of good at maths, kind of good at English. And then I decided, like, very last minute, I'm going to do engineering. Like, why not? If I don't like it, I can always swap. Moving into engineering at that time, I knew going in, there's not many women. There's not many people that I know doing it. It's going to be a bit of a change, but I'll take the leap and I'll back myself. And that was really good. I ended up really enjoying it. It got to the end of uni and I got this job because my first job actually I got because of a cafe I worked in. The hiring manager just came in with a recruiter and was looking for electrical engineers. And I happened to walk past and said, "Oh, are you taking graduates next year?" Anyway, I started the next week. So that's another example of just finding opportunity out wherever you are. But essentially, I started working. I was pretty quiet. Obviously, I didn't have much experience, or I had the technical knowledge of uni, but I didn't really know my place yet. Also, outside of uni, I wasn't really doing anything. So through uni, I kind of had to drop all my hobbies to try and get on top of doing all like the heavy coursework and my thesis in the final year. I'm sure a lot of you are going through that at the moment, but that really takes it out of you. So then it kind of got to, I'm working, now my afternoons are free, what do I do? So that is when I just started to play AFL. So I'm 23 years old, 22 years old. My sister says they're starting a new AFL competition in Wollongong. Everyone's going to be new. No one's going to know what they're doing. It's a perfect time to join a new sport. No one's coming with any experience. So I went, all right, I'll give it a go. Signed up, loved it. A year later, they said, the treasurer's resigning. Is anyone going to put their hand up to be treasurer? I went, well, I know how to do maths. I'll put my hand up. I'll do it for a little bit. Right, this was 8 years ago now. I'd say 9 years ago. So then I got into the committee of the football club. And then once you're in a position like that, you kind of see sort of how things are run and sort of the way that people interact with each other. And you have to sort of learn you suddenly have all this responsibility, which I didn't have at work yet. I was still in the maintenance team at this point. Suddenly people are coming to you with questions and asking you, can we buy this? Can we do that? And you're just given this level of, oh, okay, well, I think we should do this. And you start to figure out that everyone's sort of just figuring it out as they go along. So then that sort of step up in responsibility there made me take the step in my career to try out for this other role. Now, when I moved into that other role in the design and commissioning space, it took me about 6 months to a year before I thought I could actually do anything in that role. So it was such a different technical world than anything I'd done before. But I had this confidence in myself that I'd figure it out eventually, because everything else in the past I'd figured out eventually. And with the football club stuff and everything, you figure it out eventually. Like, it can be foreign and unfamiliar at the start, but once you have the confidence that you figured it out once, it's pretty easy to know you'll be able to do it again. So fast forward about 5 years, and I get the call from someone I used to work with to say, hey, you should apply for Endeavour Energy. They're looking for a reliability engineer. Looking at that, I went, I don't really have the experience for this, but I'll go for it. Like, the worst they can say is I'm not interested. So I applied, got the role, spent the next 3-4 months going, I don't know anything about what's happening here. The amount of acronyms that are used in the energy industry is obscene. Like, you spend the first 3 months going, what is this foreign language that everyone is speaking that no one's let me in on? But that's sort of aligned with that change aligned with moving from being the treasurer of the football club to the vice president, and then this year, the president. So now I've changed roles. I'm trying to find my voice here. As I've been told in another aspect of my life, you are the one in charge, you are the one accountable. Everything that happens has to go through you. So I don't know if I'm sort of coming at it, describing the story in a little sideways way, but you can kind of see the parallels of being told at one point that I had to make the decision and be accountable for things, and seeing how nothing gets done without someone taking the initiative and sort of running with it and doing it themselves has sort of given me the confidence to then apply the exact same things I've learned and achieved in that space into work. So now I don't have that assumed power, but I do have the same skills that I have developed from that sort of assumed power to then do the same things in my workplace. So I haven't kept track of time at all. I don't turned off my clock. Just look at the time. Is leaving 5 minutes for questions, Steph? You can just nod if that's.
Yep. You've still got a bit of time.
Cool. Yeah, so then when I look back at, I've wrote some notes here about what sort of things that have given me an advantage in leadership at work through leadership in the football club, reflecting on all the things you could potentially work on as a student or an undergrad to get the same sort of results. The number one thing is communication. So you can practice that at any time. I know we all hate presenting as part of like projects or things at university or outside university, but find those opportunities and practice talking in front of big groups of people. I never really used to do it in my old role. It was a very technical engineering role, but in this new one, the way to get anything done is to influence the stakeholders in a big meeting. So you've got to figure out what communication styles work for people. You've got to figure out how much information people need. I think as engineers, we like to give all the information we know, but sometimes there's no point in doing that. You just have to give the amount that is required for the decision to be made. The other thing is work on your resilience. So what I mean by that is if something's hard and it's negatively affecting your life, that's one thing. But if something's hard, but you can see in the end that you will achieve something from it, stick to it. So I think there were times when with my job changes as well as with the football club that I've gone, oh, what have I done? This has been, I'm not the right person for this, a bit of imposter syndrome. Just write it out. I think like going to university and doing an engineering degree, which I assume most people on this call are doing or have done, that requires resilience. Like you've already shown you have that in you to get through to this point in your education. So take that same resilience and put it through into your career and into the steps you take. The other part is saying yes. So just find different opportunities and say yes to them and try different things. The amount it has benefited my life to just try new things when they come up is extraordinary. So like the AFL is one thing. So I went from never playing before to the team I was in. We won the grand final 3 years ago and 2 years ago, and hopefully this year we're top of the ladder. So that's hopeful. And going from a team of girls who had never played before to a team of girls that would probably beat that first team 200 points nil just by persevering. So I guess where I'm going with the football analogy as well is that find something that gives you a sort of purpose and use it to help model how you approach things as well. So I think I always look back at AFL and I go, oh, look at how far I've gotten there. I'm capable of doing things that, like I was never sporty in high school. Like I was not, I was a bookworm and like a big reader and a big sitter. So the fact that I was even out playing football was a huge change for me. And then the amount of like the different sort of people you talk to going down that route, and like the different sort of opportunities you have for improving your health and improving the way you think about things is big. So I'm not saying everyone needs to play AFL, even though that would be great, but find some sort of passion outside of work that you can then use as a stress release as well as helping practice your leadership skills. Another thing that I was thinking would be that I think is really important for taking that step into your career is learning to use I statements. So what that means is, I think that this is what we need to do, or taking ownership for the decisions you've made and the decisions that you want to make. So I think being in the leadership role outside of work, I've seen the impact of decisions, and I've seen that I've had to take accountability for decisions that I wouldn't make myself, but I know someone else has made, and now because I'm in charge of them, I have to write it. So then in work, I realize that every decision that's been made has been made because of the information given to the person at the time. So if I don't agree with the decision, or I think there is improvement there, it's a lot easier to look at it objectively and to see it as, okay, this isn't a personal attack, or this isn't something that they're trying to do as a power play. This is a decision made with the information at hand. And then I think once you're able to look at actions and intentions from that perspective, it makes it a lot easier to influence things in the future, as well as sort of see what other ways you can make changes if your first plan doesn't work. And then this, on the similar sort of train, if a big leadership skill that I think is important to learn, and you can start practicing before you're even in the workforce, is influencing others. So that kind of goes hand in hand with communication. But one of the big things with any sort of conflict resolution, and there's plenty of opportunities to practice conflict resolution in any part of your life. But I think the big thing is keeping it on the action itself and keeping intention out of it. So in my sports life, this is very important, as well as in work life, but for slightly different reasons. But I think it's important to remember that, just like I said earlier, actions don't always have an intention behind them. And sometimes actions are just things that have been made with the information at hand. So if you want to influence someone, rather than saying, I think you've done this to me because you've decided that you want that, you should frame it as without the blame. So to kind of take blame out of it is where I'm getting at with this. So once you take blame out of things, it's a lot easier to influence others. And then a good example of something that you guys may have faced at uni is you're in a group project, there's 4 of you, 2 are doing the work and 2 aren't doing the work. Do you think it'll get the 2 who aren't doing the work to do the work if you go, you're not doing it because you're lazy? Probably not. I think that's one of those good opportunities to practice trying to figure out what you can do and assist with to get them helping out again. So rather than going in with blame, go in with, I've noticed that this isn't complete yet. What are the roadblocks for you getting it complete? Or is there anything, can you do something else instead? And I take that. Find some sort of solution, I guess, is where I'm getting at here. And then that's something you can practice in your leadership journey at university, which is so useful to bring into your later career and to make those steps later on. So yeah, I feel like I've rambled a little bit, but that's essentially what I wanted to get out today, is that your leadership journey and building into a professional sort of role just can start with working on those sort of soft skills. about communication and yeah, that's those sorts of things. So I know my story's sort of gone like this, and I've had little tangents, but I hope it's made sense what I'm trying to say.
No, it absolutely has. Thank you so much, Andy, for that. I was just taking some notes around your leadership. So, excuse me, your leadership journey has grown from, you've got your personal leadership where, through your footy club and being a leader there, and you've used those transferable skills in your role at Endeavour Energy. But I really liked the touching that you touched on resilience, influence, and then you didn't really say this, but I know this is sort of part and parcel, is the reflection. So the reflection on these skills that you've built through your personal experience and how they relate to your professional life. And I think that's really important for students and young professionals to understand is you don't have to build all your professional experience in a professional role. Your personal life and what you do, you're building those communication skills, those influence skills, that resilience that you can bring over into that professional life. I also liked that you touched on having something that you're passionate outside of work. I think that is a great key thing to have in your life. And it's really hard sometimes when, your study can be all encompassing of your whole life, and you sort of don't really know what to do outside of that. So I think that's some really great key takeaways. I am going to open the floor to some questions for Andy. So use our Slido code and our the QR code there if you have any questions for Andy. Just give it a moment to see if any start coming through. As soon as someone does submit a question, it will pop up. Andy, do you want to just give us a little brief rundown about what a reliability engineer does?
Yeah, sure. So a reliability engineer, or at least at Endeavour Energy, I think every single distribution or transmission network service provider does it slightly differently. But my team essentially was set up to do non-compliant feeder investigations. So what that is your house would be connected to the zone substation via a feeder, a distribution feeder we call them. So once a feeder crosses a threshold for amount of outages or duration of outages in a year, it gets flagged as non-compliant, and then my team has to come in and suggest things we can do to help it become compliant again in the next quarter. So it could be anything. It could be installing automation, it could be installing covered conductor, it could be rejigging the feeder so it's fed from somewhere else. So there's it's a super creative process to figure out what we can do to fix it. So that was originally why my team was set up. Now that makes up probably 10% of my role. The other 90% of my time is strategic reliability work. So the big project I've been working on recently has been called large area restoration. So what that is if we lose one of those zone substations, at the moment you'd have about 10,000 customers out of power. Large area restoration is this module we've put into our data management system where all our switch information comes back into, so we can see what the network's doing. So it's a system that when we lose a zone substation, will automatically restore all the customers fed from that zone substation via remote switches connected to other zone substations. So it's a huge project. We're the first in Australia to do it. And one team did the technical side, but then was having trouble getting the stakeholders within the business to be okay with turning it on, because it's there's like because now it's autonomous. It raises a lot of safety risks and a lot of questions about what's going to change with work practices. So that's when I came in to sort of be the translator, if you will. Okay, this is the technical stuff. This is what it'll mean for you. This is all the documentation. This is all of, and then going around and talking to pretty much everyone in the business about how it worked. Yeah, so that's sort of been my project. But then we also have a bunch of other strategic projects to just try and limit the amount of outages we have on the network. Yeah.
That's cool. So you're like like I know that I'm not an engineer, I'm not a technical person, and I know a lot of engineering is problem solving, but it sounds like you get a huge amount of problem solving that you have to, like you've got this huge question
Yeah.
to solve, and it's sort of like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's creative. Yeah, so there's no 2 days are the same, which I think I love personally. I'm a bit of a scatter brain. I'll start one thing and then sort of go off to the next thing. So it's nice that my work sort of allows me to do that and be involved in so many different things.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time, Andy. We've got a couple of questions here. So, well, actually, one of them says no questions, but absolutely loved your story and how it's truly inspired them and motivated them to, work on their soft skills. A question here, you mentioned about saying yes to new opportunities, but what if there are situations when you know something's going to be beneficial, but you are not interested in doing it? What do you do?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm a bit of a glass half full sort of person. So if I see something that I think would be beneficial, and I'm like, oh, that's a lot of effort, or I don't feel like it, I try and find an aspect that does interest me. So like a big one is, oh, there's a networking event. I don't really feel like talking to people, but there is going to be free food. Then I'll go, well, I can just go and have a snack or two. And while I'm there, I'll see if maybe I talk to anyone. And if I don't, at least I've gone out there.
Yeah.
It's funny, like I'm known at the office as the free food finder. I'll come back from somewhere with a cupcake and they're like, where did you get that from? I'm like, oh, this team was doing something and they just gave me a cupcake.
If you can smell it, you're there,
Yeah. They're like, how do you always find it? I'm like, I don't know, it finds me.
I think also to add to that, putting time limits on things. So, if you're invited to networking, you say, I'm going to go there for 15 minutes and I'm going to give it 15 minutes and then I'm going to get out of there, or I'm going to do this role, this opportunity for 3 months and see how I go. And if I, get a lot out of it and I start to enjoy it, because sometimes you just don't know everything about, that opportunity.
Yeah,
so
and things can surprise you. My other method is the same method I use to get myself to go for runs. So I hate running, but I have to do it. And then obviously playing AFL, you do a lot of running. So being good at running is a part of it. I hate it the whole time I'm doing it. As soon as I'm done, I'm like, wow, that was great. Like I feel so good after it. So sometimes I just have to focus on what it's going to be in the end. So like this kind of, I don't like doing this. While I'm doing it, I'm not liking it. But then if I just keep my focus on where it's going to get me in the future, for me, it works that's enough to get me there. And then similar to what Stephanie said before, to go for a 5K run, sometimes I have to convince myself I'm only going to run for 1 kilometer. I'm just going to go for 1 kilometer. And then when I'm out there, maybe I'll do another one. And then I always end up doing 5K, but I have to give it baby steps until I accept it as well.
I mean, it's also good practice for professional life, because in your job, you're not going to actually love doing 100% of your job. There are always going to be small aspects of your job that don't interest you as much as the others, and you still have to do it because it's part of your job. So I think it's one of those things of learning that sometimes you can't be 100% interested in something to do it. Maybe if you're over 50%, then give it a go. One more question before we end your session. Is career progression in a leadership sense dependent on how you do at uni?
Quick answer, no, I don't think so. Long answer, There's aspects of how well you do at uni that do translate into how well you progress in your career. But I'd say overall, I don't think they're that correlated. Now, I'm not sure people in this course, so I was what was considered a gifted kid growing up. So I got told all the time that I was very smart and I was very good at things. And then the first time I had to do something that I was bad at, it was terrible because suddenly it wasn't easy and I had to try. So I think if I'd had to try a bit harder growing up, then I think that transition would have been easier in a sense. So I think as long as you have work ethic, how well you do at uni doesn't matter. It's just how well you can try to achieve things is what gets you way further. So like I didn't do as well in my HSC and early uni than people who I was doing way better than at earlier in education, but because they'd spent their whole education trying really hard, those results started to pay off. And then, I think just how well you try and how well you seek to understand things is actually what's going to make you a better leader and more likely to get into the leadership pathway.
Fantastic. I'd like to request everyone or ask everyone to use their react button and give Andy a round of applause and thank her for her time that she has spent with us this afternoon. We are going to move on. I know that there is another question there, but we will move on. We've got a couple more speakers in this next half hour. So thank you, Andy, for your time. It was really fantastic. I'd like to now welcome one of our Power Up scholars, Jacinta Fitzgerald, who will be sharing her experience. And can I just please keep this in mind. She's joining us from Peru, where she is, and she will explain why she's there. It's part of it was a university sort of opportunity. But she is going to be sharing her experiences attending industry conferences. I've bumped into Jacinta at a number of conferences, and how students can make the most of these opportunities, especially when, you're a bit more introverted and, it is a bit more unknown. Are you there, Jacinta? How's your internet? There you are.
Yes, I am here. I'm on a bit of an old laptop, so I'll see how my camera is. I'm here.
Okay. Do you want me to bring up your slides?
Okay. Yeah, maybe. Oh, actually, I have them open. I can share my screen if that's
Beautiful.
easy. Cool. Thank you. So, hello, everybody. My name is Jacinta, and as Stephanie mentioned, so I study at the University of Melbourne, studying electrical engineering, specialising in low carbon power systems, and I also work as an engineer intern at AEMO. So can you all see my slides? Could I get a yes or no, Stephanie?
I can't see anything at the moment. I can hear you.
That's right. Maybe if you share my slides.
Yep, I'll share them. Okay, beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay.
Shame you can't see me.
All right. If you can give me a thumbs up if you can see the slides. I still can't hear you. See you, Jacinta, but that's okay.
Okay.
We can hear you.
That's. I'll join on my phone so you can see me if you can already see my slides. Sorry to be a nuisance. I didn't think that would work. As Stephanie mentioned, I am in Peru and have limited technical resources. But yeah, today I will be talking about attending conferences as a student, particularly related to energy and power. And I now have my face on, I hope. Yes.
There we go.
Hello, everyone. Yay, okay. So if you want to go to the next slide, I would say that attending conferences as a student has entirely changed my whole perspective about the power sector and energy, because it just really opens you up to new opportunities, and you learn about so many things that you may not have even considered or known to be involved in the energy sector, and especially not what you're told to enter from uni, studying a degree in engineering, different roles and companies and organizations and activities. So I think it's a great place to just learn and absorb as much information as you can. As much as they are overwhelming to me, attending an energy conference is like going to Disneyland. I find it very exciting speaking to different people and learning about new ideas. It's a great place to make new connections with your fellow peers or different people from organizations, whether they are other students to CEOs, everyone's there and they all are there to learn and connect and just talk about their roles. I would put this number one, but there is a lot of free food and goodies. So I think it's a great place to bring a tote bag and pile up some freebies to take home. And you never know, it might end up in an internship, or if not, at least a connection that could snowball into another opportunity or another role or another conversation. So if you go to the next slide, in terms of the conferences I've attended, firstly, I've been to All Energy Australia in Melbourne a few times, and that is amazing because it's entirely free. And it is the conference of all conferences. It is humongous. So if you're in Melbourne around October, I couldn't recommend more attending to learn as much as you can about energy. Secondly, I've been to Australian Energy Week, which happens each year around July. I've also been to the Seagrey Conference last year, which was held in Adelaide. It happens bi-yearly, every second year in Australia and then in Paris. So next year it will be at in the Gold Coast. And to attend this conference, which is very power systems related, I was fortunate to go with a group of people through the Australian Power Institute with the TJ Ethne Award Scholarship. So I got to go with these students across the country and we stayed in a hotel together. We were fortunate to have a tour of SA Power Network and Electronet facilities. And what I think was really great was, as much as I learned about super cool cutting edge research in different areas of electrical power systems, I think it's just important connecting with your fellow peers, because as much as you try and connect upwards to meet hiring managers and project leads, I think that us students right now are all entering the power sector at the same time, and we're going to be working on solving problems together for the next 20, 30 years. So I think it's important to connect and make relationships with the people around you as much as it is with the people above you. So that's a bit of an overview of the conferences I've been to, along with the APAC Wind Energy Conference and Energy Fest, which is a bit more of a fun conference. In terms of what they are like, as I mentioned, they are incredibly overwhelming and daunting to begin with, but also super fun. So a conference typically consists of an exhibition hall, which is where you walk in and you have a big careers fair or market stalls with every single product and service mildly related to power you can think of or cannot think of. Everybody is there. And it's a great place to walk around and see solar panels in real life, transformers. Here I got to see a Tesla robot or a little microgrid setup, and just walk around and get to see things that you don't see at uni, but you can see tangibly. This is also the place where you get your freebies. Here are my free socks, but also lots of food. And then that's also where you come together to have your morning tea, your lunch, your afternoon tea, your drinks at the end of the day. So there's a lot going on in the exhibition hall. And then from there, you'll typically have a plenary hall or a larger theatre where you have your big keynote speakers in the morning with CEOs and new ideas about the energy sector. And then from there, you have breakout rooms, which go into niche different topics based on your interests. And you may walk into a room and learn about community engagement, or you can learn about data center development, or wherever your interests may lie, there's a room for you likely. And in terms of how to make the most out of the day, I would say it's very important to plan ahead. You'll be able to find the agenda online before you go, and I'm a bit of a nerd with it, so I'll go down and write down every session I want to go to and the time and make a little program, because I don't want to miss out on anything. So I think it's important to see what you're going into so you don't get there and become lost and just sit there and not know where to go. And there'll also be a lot that you're unfamiliar with when you have the look at the program. So I think go look up different organizations you haven't heard of, different ideas. So then you may find something you didn't know about, but at least you're coming in with a little bit of background knowledge. And I would also say bring a notebook and a pen, and better yet, go find a free notebook and a pen, or get a tote bag and bring them home because you've come prepared with your notebook. But make sure you have some way to take notes as you go. As an example, if you go to the next slide, I've just taken a snippet of 1.5 hours of the All Energy Australia agenda. And as you can see, there is a lot going on, from renewable energy zones to community engagement, data center development, EV technology. So you may come into the conference being completely overwhelmed looking at this. So I think it's important to prepare ahead. Me personally, I'm interested by about 7 of these topics all at once. So I'm trying to run between all the rooms. So I think definitely look up what you're want to attend to beforehand and make a bit of a game plan, but also you won't be able to go to it all, and that's okay. You can look it up after or have conversations with people, because there is a lot going on. In terms of making the most of the day while you're there, I think it's important to acknowledge that it's okay to be nervous. It is a very overwhelming environment, but start small and your conversation will grow. Start with the most simple conversation. Go find the person who has free photo frogs and just say, hey, what's going on? How's your morning going? And I think it's also important to just acknowledge that it's okay to be a student. It's pretty cool that you're at a conference as a student, and the professionals in the room probably wish they were doing what you were doing right now. So just introduce yourself and say, hi, I'm studying engineering at the University of Adelaide. What do you do? Or what's your day-to-day work like? Or, oh, explain this. I've never seen that before. I think it's exciting to go see all the little physical things and just be like, wow, can you please explain this to me? I'm just a student, but I'm curious to learn. And people love talking about themselves or about their company. So just ask questions and have a chat and see where it may lead. And I think from there, just continue to be curious, ask questions. If you're not comfortable asking questions right away, take a note down and look it up later, because your mind will be going through a lot at the time. And I think it's also very important to be open to new topics, as I've mentioned, because it will be all entirely new, or there'll be new ideas you haven't thought about, and you don't want to go in with a single mind. You want to come out with 10 different mindsets. So I think just walk around and have any conversation with anyone you see and just see what else you can learn and walk away with. And then I think if you do have a conversation that you enjoy, there's no harm in following up, even if it's just a message saying, hey, I really enjoyed talking to you today. It's great to meet you. Hope you enjoyed your day as much as I did. That's all it has to be. You don't have to send your CV asking for a job. It's just nice to talk to people and continue that relationship. In terms of upcoming conferences, I've had a little browse online to send out to present on the screen if you want to take a screenshot and write down the dates. So tried to not be biased towards any one cities, but I couldn't find any for Adelaide or Perth, but there's a few coming up in Sydney. As I mentioned, All Energy Australia is free in October. Australian Energy Week happens every year, along with the Queensland Clean Energy Summit. And then in August 2027, SEGRO is coming back to Australia. So fingers crossed, I think there will be some TJ EFNI Awards scholarships coming out. So keep an eye out for the applications and put it in, because I couldn't recommend that experience more. So that's all I have for a formal presentation. But if you have any questions beyond Slido about conferences, how to go to conferences, any tips for the day, but also I know this session's about like going from student to professional. So if you have any questions about finding an internship or working as a student or managing work and study, I'm open to anything. So thank you very much for listening.
Fantastic. Sorry, I didn't know if I had my mic on or not. But thank you so much, Jacinta. I know you were trying to pack a lot of that into our time that we had. Can you tell us a little bit about why you're in Peru while we get some questions in about conferences?
I did mention I would do that. Yes, I'm here working with an organisation called WindAid. I'm volunteering through a project to install a solar panel and a wind turbine and a battery onto homes in the communities in rural Peru. So I'm here volunteering at the university, where each day we work on constructing a wind turbine. So today I was actually turning coils, which will go inside the rotor of the motor of the spinning turbine. And then with a group of students from across the world, we're building this turbine, which we go then install into a community and bring energy access to a home that has never had light before. So actually last week we went out to the home where we were delivering the turbine, and we met with the family, and they didn't have electricity. None of the communities do, but we're slowly bringing out different turbines, and then they have access to light and a phone charger. And it's a really great experience to not only learn technical engineering skills, but also how you can use clean energy to help people, which I'm loving.
Yes, and it's sort of, the understanding that energy poverty is still, out there
Mhm.
in a lot of developed and underdeveloped countries. How did you get that opportunity?
Honestly, I found it online and I applied. I'm always browsing what I can do, and I've always wanted to work in humanitarian engineering or using energy to help people and first-time energy access. And when I found it, I was like, I must go. I put my heart into my application, and here I am. Yeah.
We do we do have one question that has come through, and it's
Mhm.
what was the greatest challenge when you did your very first internship, and how did you go through that? How did you overcome that?
Yeah. I think so. I currently work at AEMO, the Australian Energy Market Operator. But before that, after my third year of uni, I interned for a summer and then a year on at the engineering consultancy Jacobs. So that was my first internship. And I think honestly, walking into the corporate world for the first time is a bit of a shock when you realize how different it is to studying each day and how you just look around and everyone's older than you in their suit and ties at their computer and you don't know what to do. Um, but I think it just now it just feels natural and it is just a step in a different direction. But everyone has been there and everyone's there to support you. And as much as you may think you don't know anything, you're not expected to know anything. So I think the question's on my screen, but I think, yeah, it's important to just know that yes, you will put expectations on yourself because we unnaturally do that, but no one else is expecting much of you. So I think internships really are a learning opportunity. So just try and learn as much as you can.
Fantastic. And one final question before we move over to our next speakers. Uh, Austin says, your journey is so interesting. Can you share your tips on how you find these conferences?
Mhm. Honestly, I'm just an energy nerd. So I look up conferences around me in Australia and see where I can go, and I can see how I get my ticket, hopefully free as a student. Particularly at the University of Melbourne, I'm very involved in a student club called Students in Renewable Energy. So we often email different conferences and say, "Hey, we're a student group working in clean energy. Can we come to your conference and learn, or can we have a stall and share about what we do?" So I know if you're in Melbourne, they have a Monash Energy Club. QUT have a student energy club. So if you're at a university where something is related, maybe see if you can go as a group or strike a deal, because otherwise they could be very expensive. But also look out for opportunities through the API.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for those plugs as well, Jacinta, with the API and our TJ Effney Award, which, yes, it will be open for applications very, very soon. And if you're part of the Power Up community, you will get an email about that. I would love to get everyone to give Jacinta a round of applause using their React button. Thank you so much for your time, your information, your advice, and joining us from Peru.
Thanks for having me. Enjoy the rest of the session.
Thank you. I would now like to bring Sam Cox and John Tope to the floor. I know you guys are there if you put your cameras on and we can spotlight you for everyone to see. We have a very small panel, and I think we've got Danielle Peralta, I think, is also joining us from Seagrey, who we're going to answer some questions around life after university and the ongoing learning and networking that is involved once you enter the professional world. We have John, who did join us on Tuesday. You're not out in the wild today. You're at your desk. Do you want to, while we get Sam and Danielle spotlighted, do you want to just give us a sort of a rundown of ESA and your involvement?
Yeah, I certainly can. So, yeah, my name is John. I work at Tas Networks, but I'm also a part of ESA, or the Electric Energy Society of Australia. ESA is just a not-for-profit organisation, and we're all about advancing the technical knowledge of people that are interested in the electrical energy industry. Yeah, we're really a separate organisation. We don't run for a profit, and we're just funded by people joining us to learn about different topics around the state, around the country, and we have a chapter in each different state of Australia.
Yes, and you're joining us from the Tasmanian, you're the Tasmanian chair?
Yes, correct. I'm the Tasmanian chair, and so we've got about 50 members down here in Tassie that are part of this chapter.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, Danielle or Sam, do you want to sort of share a little bit more about Seagrey and sort of explain how it supports people working in the power and energy sector?
Hi, Emily. Yes. So yeah, both Sam and I are in Seagrey, and for those who aren't aware, Seagrey, it's a non-for-profit organization, and we're founded in Paris in 1921, and it's similar to ESA, where we're dedicated to sharing knowledge and expertise in the field of power systems, and it's more of an international scope. And Sam and I are in the next generation network, where we're more focused on the earlier development subdivision of Seagrey.
Anything to add to that, Sam?
I think she hit it pretty on the nail, or nail on the head, as they say. But yeah, I think Seagrey just has a very big industry focus. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with IEEE, and maybe you've heard of ESA as well. But yeah, for Seagrey, it's just that industry focus.
Do you all just want to share why did you join your those organisations, ESA and Seagrey, and why ongoing learning after university is important?
I'll jump in. So yeah, I joined ESA because I actually went to a presentation when I was a student. It was one hosted by Hydro Tasmania, and they're doing a presentation on how do they power King Island, the very little island above Tassie. And I was just like, wow, that is so interesting. I did not know that was a thing. And it opened my eyes to a whole lot of different technical topics that are available. And I thought, I really want to be able to keep doing this and keep learning on what other people are doing in the industry. And it's still really valuable for myself today.
Fantastic. Danielle and Sam?
Oh, I'm happy to take this one, Danielle, but I think ongoing learning really does matter, because university provides you with those fundamentals, but not the full skill set. So I remember when I first joined my company, which is Energy Queensland, I was very shocked at how many teams there were and how big it is, but then also we're only one small part of the power industry. So it's other parts like generation, transmission, retail, which all focus on different things. So this kind of highlighted that I didn't really know a lot, as much as I thought I did after uni. But uni's not really intended to teach you everything. It's kind of intended to teach you those fundamental theories and teach you those skills that make you capable. So ongoing learning is important in that aspect, because you need to learn about those new technologies, learn about how to improve your own skill sets, just to make sure that you can tackle those new challenges and new problems that the industry faces. And yeah, I guess for Seagrey, they provide a lot of support. The NGN network has done quite a bit in that regard, particularly with getting up to date with the latest focuses of industry. Yeah, when I first joined, there was a couple of webinars on grid forming inverters, which I'd never heard about before, and that really kind of stuck with me, that I probably still wouldn't know about them now, to be honest.
Yeah,
But
yeah, if you hadn't
just,
had the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely, and it's just good to learn about those things that you aren't directly exposed to all the time, and you can learn from those presentations and incorporate that stuff into your own work. So I guess that's probably why the ongoing learning and Seagrey kind of work together pretty well.
Yeah. How can students and early career professionals use networks or use groups like Seagrey and ESA to build confidence, meet people, and learn about different careers within the industry? John?
Come and join. It's free. I think it's free for Seagrey NGN, and it's free for ESA to become a member as a student. And really, it's just if there's an event in person, go along, grab a mate, grab someone else that can come along and come and learn. And if there's events online, you can join them wherever, whenever, and listen and learn about those things.
And ESA's free for students, isn't it? It's free for free for students. And you also have quite a well-known mentoring program, don't you?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So if you're a member of ESA and you'd like to get involved, we've got a mentoring program, which is you can pair up, be a mentee, and pair up with a mentor who's someone that's well known in the industry. And we've got a mentor in every state for each of our chapters, if you're interested.
And what about Seagrey?
I'll join in for this one, and thanks, John, for putting that Seagrey plug. Yes, it is also free membership for students with Seagrey, and yeah, for me personally, what it's helped out with, or the advantage that you have, especially as students, is that you're still a student. So yes, there's a lot of opportunities for free events, free memberships that give you access to all the technical brochures, different workshops, different conferences. Because even last year, I was able to, through the Australian Power Institute, actually attend the Seagrey conference in Adelaide, where they covered flights and accommodation, and also the ESA conference in Perth, Western Australia. And all those events really just help build your confidence, because it's almost like exposure therapy, where you meet all these different people. And as you talk to more people, you kind of get a bit more comfortable with it. And with talking with people, you start to become more certain with different pathways that you want to take, whether you want to start off in distribution, transmission. And I think that's the best part about being involved in these organizations, where you just get such a broad perspective on the power system, and you don't realize how massive the power system industry is. But yeah, all I can say is encourage you to find any opportunity as a student, because it's the best time for you right now.
I like that exposure therapy analogy, because it's so true. The more you go, the more you learn, and the more you go, the more people that you meet. I really like that. We're going to keep moving on, just because we are very short of time. What is one practical step that students can take while still at university to start building their professional network and staying connected to the industry using your organizations?
I mean, I think just like we said before, I'll say it for Seagrey and for ESA, we're all in the same party, and we all want everyone to come and join, be a member, come to a webinar, come to something in person.
Yeah. And you'll be, and is there typically someone there to sort of welcome them and sort of, help those newbies?
Yeah, certainly at all of our ESA events, we've got someone, it'll be myself in Tassie, and then all the chapter chairs of each state will usually be there to welcome people along. But I guess if you're very nervous and apprehensive, send someone an email or a message on LinkedIn just to say, hey, I'm coming along, keep an eye out for me, and we'll happily welcome you on.
Yeah, I definitely echo John there. He said reach out to people on LinkedIn, and that's probably the step that I'd suggest to people, is just be proactive, seek those opportunities, join ESA, join Seagrey NGN, attend everything you can, webinars, site visits, networking events. Yeah, proactivity is probably the key here, and we'll definitely support you in that way as well.
That's fantastic. Any final comments, anything that we might not have sort of covered in those 4 questions that you would like to share? Do either of you or any of you have events coming up that you would like to sort of share? I know Seagrey just had an amazing event, which was in person and or online. How did that go?
I think it went pretty well. There was we got a lot of photos from all the different offices after the event, so a lot of people kind of caught up after, networked in all locations around Australia. So that was really nice to see the community all together.
Yeah, I think it was one of the first events where it was like all the different cities in Australia of Seagrey were coming together to, yeah, have an online version, but also an in-person networking event, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. I will let everyone know that we will open up to questions for those that may have questions around Seagrey and ESA. So both free memberships for students. As graduates, you do probably have to pay a small fee, but absolutely both worth getting involved in. The Seagrey have the NGN, the New Generation Network, which is specifically for early career professionals, and both offer in-person and online events. One thing Seagrey does is it has its technical papers. ESA also you get access to sort of a backlog of resources that are available, to you. Any questions? What I might suggest is if you do have questions around these two organisations, ESA and Seagrey, is to reach out to our speakers today, Sam and John and Danielle. I'm sure they will answer any questions that you have. Use some of those newfound skills we've talked about of reaching out on LinkedIn. There was a bit of a discussion yesterday about developing their profiles and reaching out and sending a note when you do reach out to people about why you're contacting them. Oh, here is a question. Is there any extra eligibility criteria for the ESA mentoring? Do you have to be in, for example, do you have to be in your penultimate year, or is there it's open till first, second, third, any year?
Yeah, if you can, it's open for you. There is no need for you to be in your penultimate year. So yeah. I think it's, if you have a look on the website, and you can just Google search ESA.com, it'll be on there.
I think it's only just recently closed potentially. I remember it opening earlier this year, but it does happen annually, and it's always worth reaching out and seeing if there's any, spaces available.
Yeah, I think it is applications open, but if you just want to send an email, we can usually find another spot.
Yeah. Mentoring was another big subject that was discussed yesterday. A lot of questions around mentoring. I am going to keep moving through. Thank you so much to John, Danielle and Sam. If we can all give them a round of applause using our React button. Here at the API, we really love sharing what ESA and Seagrey do with our Power Up community. So we'll keep continuing to do that. And I think it's really important to surround yourself with like-minded individuals who are passionate and proactive in the industry, which is, what all of you are. Wonderful. So just some Power Up program opportunities. So we're just requesting everyone to update their details or attend our Power Ambassador info session, or attend the Power Up Inside Industry webinar, which is coming up in August. So use those QR codes to learn more about those opportunities. And the last QR code for the Power Up Summit is your rating of today's Power of Hour. We have gone through so much information, and we have really, really appreciated everyone who has stayed online during this time. So please give us some feedback, email us with any, questions that may not have been answered that you would like answered. We have really appreciated having everyone join us over the last 3 days. So thank you so much for your time. We hope to see you at our next event, our Inside Industry number 2, next month. Otherwise, our Power Ambassador info session, which is coming up in a few weeks. Wonderful. Thank you so much. We hope to see you soon. See you later, everyone.